here's a crucial piece of advice every salesperson should not only take on board, but should also never forget, because the best definition I've ever heard of an argument is that an argument is simply a discussion that has got out of control. And because of this one factor, you should never lose a friend or a sale over an argument. No, never. Because the cost is too high. And you know something else? The cost will always be too high now and also in the future. Some years ago, and in the early stages of me developing this video series, I asked a friend of mine to help me review some of the videos that I'd been working on. Now, he was an ideal candidate for this because he just retired after 50 years in sales, and he was a good salesman as well. Now, the one thing that we did, we met at a restaurant, we found a corner that we could sit in and discuss and play some videos. And during that, I brought up this particular video that you've just seen, and my friend wasn't happy with the content. He told me that the whole video was very negative, and it brought what was happening in the sales industry into a negative light, because most salespeople don't like to be reminded of what they do wrong or how badly they get it wrong. And I sat there, listened, and asked him what he would do as a solution. Well, he told me that I needed to go into more depth, and I needed to explain why those situations exist in the first place and what salespeople could do to make them not come about. And I should also offer reasons to diffuse whatever situation was going to develop because of this inability by the salespeople to take heed and take control. Well, I'm about to go through 6 different points that will help you not only diffuse a situation in future, but take control of it. But in the process, I want to go through factors that will help you sell more, sell better, and consolidate better. Now, everyone in sales knows that arguing with a prospect or a customer is an obvious no-no, yet many of us will still fall into that trap by mistake. Because at times, your prospect or customer's objections can be so unrealistic, so unreasonable, they will contradict all forms of logic. And under those circumstances, it's easy to lose your temper in order to defend the truth. But arguments are arguments. And if you win the war and lose the sale, you have a lose-lose situation on your hands. So in order to diffuse whatever's happening in the call, and you see it coming, will simply ask the prospect to tell you what they're thinking from their position. And if that doesn't work, well, simply leave politely, and move on with life, because you don't need an argument to spoil your day. It's a known fact salespeople can become very passionate about what they're selling, and sometimes they become so passionate they want to push the point. But pushy salespeople don't go very far. No, considerate salespeople are the ones that will listen and then ask more questions and listen again. Now, university studies will tell us that prospects should talk about 60% of the time and salespeople should talk about 40%. Well, I dispute that, because I'm sure those university studies didn't talk to too many super sellers. In my opinion, the guys at the top of the selling game will ask a question and then listen 80 or 90% of the time, then ask another question and then listen another 80, 90% of the time. And they'll keep doing that because they know the process here. Because the more the prospect talks, the more they sell themselves. So that's why they keep asking questions and listening, because they allow the prospect to talk themselves into the sale. And the best part is, the more you listen, the faster the prospect will sell themselves into the sale. Now, here's another mistake young salespeople make, but the older, more wiser avoid, and they avoid it continually. And that is offering too much information for nothing. So don't become an unpaid consultant. You should have limits to how much you share, because a free consultation is not a good thing either for you or the prospect, because they get a little bit too much information for free. You give away a little bit too much information for free. They get confused and they don't buy. But they'll then go and get somebody else in to pass on more information from where you left off. Now, that's not a good thing for either the buyer or the seller. Whenever you give, expect to get back. That's the whole process of life. And some prospects want information, but they're never going to be buyers. They're people at somewhere in the company chain, but they're not in a position to make a decision to buy. So don't forget, information is power. Some say knowledge is power and information is knowledge. So look at it in that way. Information is power. Don't give it away for free. Now, in every selling scenario, you need to offer solutions. And those solutions have to be straightforward and obvious benefits to the prospect to urge the prospect to want to buy. Now, no prospect is interested in how you do that, but they are interested in what you can do for them in order to make things happen. And once you get to that stage, it's just the tip of the iceberg, because in selling, you need to unravel a lot more things. And one of the easiest way to do that is to remember two things. Features tell, benefits sell. But in my sales training and in the lessons that I give, I go way beyond that, because I talk about features, attributes, and benefits. Now, we have a different scenario, because features tell, attributes explain why things are done a certain way and how they benefit the prospect. And then the benefits will help close the sale or bring the sale to a resolution where people are ready to buy. So remember, offer solutions, because straightforward and obvious benefits are what make the prospect want to make a buying decision. Now, here is something I've labored on for decades now, and that is people buy on value. They never buy on price. And I know many retailers that will attract people into their store with a lower price. But once they've got them there, they'll then start to negotiate with them and then sell on value. Now, the process is called upselling. And their idea is to keep upselling till you get what you want. And in the process, they'll tell you that selling cheap or buying cheap will always produce a lower quality item. So you need to buy a product that's of value to you. But you won't buy that product until you see that the value is substantially better than the standard value. So once you understand the substantial difference, you'll pay the bigger price. Now, one other thing I want to bring to your attention. University studies say that 79% of buyers want to deal with a salesperson that is a trusted advisor. So unless you're a trusted advisor, you'll never see the lofty heights of what you can and you can't sell. And remember, you need to build value which is so substantial, these people will want to buy at that price. What saddens me most about the sales industry is that closing the sale is not front of mind with most salespeople. Instead, they want to concentrate on a signature presentation or ways to appease the prospect. And while they're doing that, they're not concentrating on selling to the prospect, which is why they were there in the first place. And industry studies also tell us that 63% of all sales interactions never ask for the order, never ask for the sale. And that to me is frightening. Now, over 40 years ago, I also learned to sign off in the middle of the selling process and then to consolidate that decision progressively with the prospect. Invariably, every person I did that with mainly bought. Now, I also trained a lot of sales teams and salespeople on utilizing the exact same process. And in the process, their sales went up dramatically. In fact, most had a 50% increase in the sales they closed in that period compared to the previous 3-month period. And that to me is substantial.